Captain Aliou Cisse will not be in charge of the Lions of Teranga in the upcoming international break after the Senegalese Football Federation declined to renew the national team coach's contract this week. The decision ended a successful 9-year spell in charge of the side that included a first Africa Cup of Nations title and 2 World Cup qualifications. Cisse had been under increasing pressure after Senegal's surprise last 16 exit at the 2023 Cup of Nations when they lost on penalties to hosts Cote d'Ivoire. The side is unbeaten in 6 matches since then, but home draws with the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burkina Faso and criticism from certain quarters over their style of play sealed his fate. FSF added that Cisse's exit stemmed from a failure to fulfill the targets in his last contract, which expired at the end of August, which included victory at the 2023 Cup of Nations and reaching the quarterfinals of the 2022 World Cup. Reaction to the sacking of the popular coach has been mixed back in Senegal.
Aliou Cisse did a good job. He gave us the Africa Cup of Nations and participated in 2 World Cups. I'm against his departure. I wish he had gone to the next World Cup with the team.
When you have players like Sadio Mane, Koulibaly, Ganageye and Ismail Assar, and you can't win a game at home, it's because you are not a very good coach, and we realize that. What's more, Aliou Cisse is also very stubborn. I'm glad he's been fired. I think we should have fired him well before that. You know the poor performance of Senegal at the World Cup, and his elimination is the fault of Aliou Cisse.
Right, well, let's discuss more on that surprise exit by Aliou Cisse as Senegal head coach with Toyin Ibitoye, who is a football expert and joins us live from Lagos, Nigeria this hour. Toyin, thank you for joining us. First of all, I'll begin by asking you, is sacking Cisse in the middle of a qualifying campaign for the Africa Cup of Nations a wise move at this time?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Happy to be here on this show once again. Yeah, it's a surprise that Aliou Cisse has been told to go right in the middle of the qualifiers for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. It's a big surprise because this is a man who's been in charge for a long time, and the thinking is that you probably allow him to finish the campaign he started before telling him to go, or before you review his contract and decide whether he should go or he should stay. But I think it's just a reflection of the discontent that has been happening around Senegalese football since the Nations Cup finals in Cote d'Ivoire earlier in the year, where Senegal crashed out in the round of 16 on penalties to the eventual champions, Cote d'Ivoire. And of course, the poor start to the qualifying campaign, so to say, for the 2025 AFCON, of course, with the highlight being the drawn game against Burkina Faso, where the fans were booing Aliou Cisse and all of that. So it's a big surprise. But then I think it's what we all know, that football is a game of little margins. There's a little difference sometimes between winning and losing, and that could be that little difference could determine whether a coach is staying or a coach will be told to go.
Right, and Toyin, we are almost at an international break now. Who do you think are some of the likely candidates to take over that coaching position?
Already, Pape Thiaw, who was an assistant to Aliou Cisse, is been told to carry on an interim in an interim capacity, and of course he is also very familiar with the situation around Senegalese football, having worked as an assistant to Aliou Cisse. He also led the Senegal home team to being champions of the African Nations Championship, which is a tournament for locally based players playing in their domestic leagues. So he has an understanding of what the expectations are in Senegal, the high expectations for football in Senegal, and he will be taking charge of the games against Malawi, the double header against Malawi in a few days from now. So how well he's able to cope with those 2 games will probably decide what the federation will do. Maybe they will move to get a substantive coach, or just allow Pape Thiaw to continue to do the job in an interim capacity.
All right, Toyin, thank you very much for bringing us those updates. Toyin Ibitoye, who is a football expert, joining us live there from Lagos. Well, let's take a brief look at the coaching profile of former Senegal captain Aliou Cisse, who was at the helm of the Teranga Lions for 9 years.